your airmen, Guardsmen deployed to support Operation Enduring Freedom, Iraqi Freedom, New Dawn, Inherent Resolve, and Freedom Sentinel. Over 700 Guardsmen's lives have been lost, 5,000 wounded in action. So we'll continue to rely on the Guard to execute our national defense strategy as we focus on near-peer competition. To be successful, however, our nation must ensure that our Guardsmen train and deploy with the same equipment as their active duty counterparts. And you talked about this a little bit when Chairman Visclosky started this out. So you said that you were not notified in advance that the Department of Defense would spend over $1 billion that Congress had already appropriated to modernize the Guard, and instead divert that to the border wall construction instead. Speaking of robbing Peter to pay Paul, I guess I'll use that same phrase as Mr. Cole. What worries me, and I'm going to be very specific to my congressional district that I'm fortunate enough to serve, but our Air Guardsmen maintain and fly the older C-130H models in Peoria. And those are the, as you know, those are the Vietnam War era airframes that the active duty Air Force doesn't fly anymore. And the INGREA funds were supposed to have provided critical survivability upgrades to those older C-130H models. On top of that, now Congress has been notified that DoD will use the money that we appropriated to acquire new C-130J models for the border wall also. And I guess, General, the fact that you weren't notified, and I'm guessing that means that folks in Peoria, this caught them by surprise as well. And I guess I'm wondering, these are, you know, obviously very important people that we're lucky enough to have in our nation and serving our country. Just kind of what message you think would be important for me to take home the next time I meet with these folks about this. You had mentioned at minimum it's a 1-year delay in all of this, but kind of play that out a little bit if you could.
Yes, ma'am. I'll start off again by saying INGREA is a critically important source of income. Money, it's our only procurement source to upgrade some of our legacy platforms. It's the only one that we have. So what I'll tell you is, you know, it's a unique source of revenue, of income for us to use because we don't have a program line for it. We only get it at the goodwill of the Congress year after year after year. One of the reasons they took it was they said, well, it wasn't being obligated. It wasn't spent at certain rates that procurement money is normally spent at. We never have spent INGREA dollars at 80% in the first year. It's impossible for us to do it. One, we never know how much we're going to get. Two, rarely do we get it at the beginning of the year, CR, so it comes late in the year. So we're unable to get it on contract and spend it in time. So it's not unusual at all for us to have low levels of obligation rates. Mm-hmm. But we spend all of it within the 3-year period. 99.95% is spent within 3 years. You can go back to 1994, I think, was the last time we missed it. And we just missed it by a tad, but 99 point, it's all spent. And that money, we have special, the Air National Guard and Air Force Reserve Test Center in Tucson allows us to not only buy things less expensively, but innovatively. We're able to work with industry for our platforms to make fast, quick upgrades to our systems that the Air Force, frankly, they can't do. Their acquisition system isn't built to do things like that. Only we can do it in the Guard. So all of the things that you mentioned, and it's hard to quantify the impact of delaying it a year. I don't know who's going to be flying a C-130 that may have needed that defensive warning system on it. These airplanes will still deploy. They will still go around the world. They will still be flown in combat and in harm's way. And does 1 year make a difference to some airman who's going to fly in that C-130 that slipped a year to be upgraded? Nobody in this room knows that. So I just, the many things that we have done to upgrade the C-130s at Peoria or the other 13 combat-coded C-130 units that are in the Air National Guard, it is a significant impact to us. And I've conveyed that to the Secretary and to the Chairman. And just be clear, they did tell me they were going to do it 2 days before they sent the reprogramming, but I was not consulted, in the decision of what pots of money to take in order to pay for the border wall.
So with 2 days advance notice on this, it's not like you could say, absolutely not, this can't happen.
Well, I don't have the power to say absolutely not, this doesn't happen. I don't control the money.
And if you had, I'm guessing it
yeah,
probably
if
would.
I did, I would have pushed back substantially on
Yeah.
that. So it's,
Yeah.
yes, ma'am.
Thank you,
But
General.
very important pot of money, and my hope is that this was a one-year blip. If it's a one-year instance, then I would tell you that we're going to be able to recover. But it's going to hurt, but we're going to be able to recover. You know, take $800 million out of modernization, you're going to feel it. But the money came from you know, things that were going to be important to the National Guard.
If it's a 2-year blip,
It makes the material risk worse. You know, if in that is where I told the chairman, this is where I see there will be strategic impact. You know, just go back 10 years, you've given the National Guard almost $7 billion to upgrade our equipment. There's strategic combat capability in $7 billion in the equipment that we have in the National Guard. So if we were to lose it for a long period of time, I would say I might meet that threshold that the chairman gave us. So unknown, it's a hypothetical question, but it is very important revenue for us and for our platform and for the people who fly them.
thank you, General, and again, thanks for your 40 years of service.
Thank you.